kids being bullied and kids that were bullied. And I know coming from, I've been here about 12 years now, but coming from another city, we don't know what procedures and policies are in place. New families may come in, families who may be here, maybe their child's first time having to deal with such a thing, and we want to make sure that we had different leaders here from the city, Board of Education. I did talk to Dr. Derrico, he had a previous engagement, but he did say he was on board with something like this. But for people to get the information that they need to make sure that all of our children are safe. We do understand that if you have been following social media or you just live here in Thomaston, you know that bullying does just not stay in the parameters of the school. It happens in public places like McDonald's or Walmart parking lot or other places. And it has even spilled over to football games and to personal property. And so we want to make sure that if you have a child, grandchild, or know someone, that there are procedures and things in place. And I want to thank Councilman Reed and Councilman Middlebrook for coming because they are representing our city as well. And we wanted even for their ears to hear things as well because they represent our area and our community. But we want them to know as well that we are so concerned about the safety of our children and even adults. And the thing too that even bothers you, and I know it bothers me as well, and I'm a parent too, and you just ain't gonna put your hand on my child. And we've seen fact where parents have gotten involved as well. And so my whole thing is we want to try to put some things in place where people can have the right information, know the places they can go, and instead of working behind, leading the cart before the horse and waiting for incidents to happen, what can we do to make sure these incidents stop before they get started? One of my favorite television shows everybody knows is Andy Griffith. And one of the things that Barney says, even though he got one bullet, he always said, nip it in the bud. That means don't let it fester, don't let it grow. And I think a lot of times when we have these isolated issues or incidents, we don't nip them in the bud. We allow them to grow. And there's something called not just physical bullying, but there's something called cyberbullying where children are being picked at even on social media, Instagram, Facebook, all these other Twitter, all those other means and platforms. And so we want to make sure that a parent who may not know where to go, how to handle these situations, that you do have an entity or place where we are trying to talk about it. Now, I feel that I wish there were more parents here to hear this, but guess what? I tell everybody, Jesus changed the world with 12 folks, well, 11, because he had one in there that went on his side. But we can take this information and spread it as well. So if we can tell somebody how good a hamburger is, surely we can tell somebody there was some good information going on here, and what do we do from here. And so we talked to Jen, who is our youth minister, who is youth director here at the church, and told her what we want to do. And so we put this forth and got it going here. So to all of you all, thank you all for showing up. For those who are also watching by way of Facebook as well, hope you all share it with at least 3 to 5 people so that we can have some information going forward as well. Also, too, on the panel, too, we have Councilman Reed. She is in the audience as well. We have Councilman Middlebrook here, Pastor Dumas. We have Officer Meadows here and also Jennifer Rogers here. And so we have law enforcement and also community leaders here as well to share about it. Brother Pedro lives here in Thomaston, but he also is an officer in the Barnesville area, Lamar County Sheriff. So he has a lot of insight as well, and he just received some additional notification and training on gang violence as well, because that is real as well. And I don't want us as parents, leaders, uncles, aunts, grandparents to say, oh, not my child. I learned that as a pastor a long time ago, not to say that even about my own children. We know what we teach our children at home, but we don't know how they act when they're not around us. And so for us to be so defensive to say, not my child, let's be very, very mature to get the information first before we say, not my child. Because when they turn that video on, you'll see that it is your child. And so we want to make sure that we are open-minded adults to be able to say, okay, this is my child. What can we do about it? How can I fix this? And the reason why we call this a parent summit, we call it because everything starts at home. I hope I get an amen for that. But it starts at home. And we too many times we blame teachers, we blame administrators, we blame officers, we blame city leaders, everybody else, but everything starts in the house. And when you have something to reinforce in the house, then when your children go out and know how to handle themselves, then it takes from there. So that's why we want to do a parent summit, not a children's summit, but we want to do a parent summit because that's what it starts with. And so those are the things we want to talk about today. So one of the things Dr. Derrico did send me some information stating that they do have some policies and procedures in place. They will be sending some of those things home on the first day of school with all the other information. I know we get bombarded with so much information. I know we get so bombarded with information on the first day, a couple of days of school, that it feels like the parents have homework. But there is some information in there as well. But we want to bring attention and awareness that there is an issue, and there is a problem, and we want to address those issues and those problems as well. So we do have a array of people here. I don't want to do all the talking, but if there's any questions that you all may have for our city councilman, for law enforcement, or even for Ms. G and me as well, we're here to answer those questions. I'm not going to tell you we have all the answers, but that's why we're here as a community, that we can work together to get those answers, get that information to you, because we want to make sure that all of our children start the first of the year out right and finish right, and go to school what they are designed to go to school for, to learn and be enriched and empowered. So those are the things you want to do. So if you have any questions, or any questions, we actually come up and ask those questions again. We'll give some information. Again, I'll let each person introduce themselves and to everyone before we get started. Councilman.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Jeff Middlebrooks. I'm the City Council for District 2. I'm also the employee. I'm athletic superintendent at the Civics and Recreation Department. Of course, I work with kids also.
I'm Jerry Meadows. I am employed with Lamar County Sheriff Office, but as Pastor said, I'm a resident here. I serve as a sergeant over in Lamar County as court services and in gang investigator.
Good evening. My name is Jennifer Rogers Sullivan. I'm the youth minister here at Stonewall. I've been in ministry with the youth for over 26 years, and I have worked, directly with them, throughout the school system and about. So just, the relationship that I've had from all the way down to kindergarten up until the young adults.
My name is Lakeitha Reed, City Council Representative for District 1.
Again, thank everybody for coming out as well. All right, so my first question, because I have questions as well, so I want to get it started, so I want everybody to feel comfortable today to do that. Councilman Middlebrooks, by you also being over the one of the people over the rec center, things of that nature, what policies, procedures that you all, do you know of any policy procedures that you all have in place for any type of incidents that may happen while our kids are in, that particular arena?
Well, we really don't have policy as far as bullying, but what we do tell the kids when they come in, if they're being picked on, come inside and bring it to our attention. Let us know if you're being picked on. And of course, we do have that going on a lot out there, and we have a lot of kids come in and tell us, like they have a basketball or whatever. The kids may come out there and take their basketball from them, and we go out there and we nip it in the bud. We try to do it right then. We don't wait around and let it just build up. We try to nip it in the bud as it goes.
Officer Meadows, can you share with us some of the things that you all, as a police department, some of the things that you all have in place for bullying, also to kind of give us some information on information that you learned in your gang training as well?
To start off with, answer your first question, Pastor. When it comes to bullying in the school system, we try to let the school handle it. The principals serve as the mommies and daddies in the school system. When we intervene, it swaps over to law enforcement. That means it's going to be a criminal matter, and it's a whole nother avenue you have to take versus letting the school handle it and you assist the school. The school have different procedures in place for bullying. I think it's more like a 1 in 3 one time is this punishment, two times is this punishment, and the third time, that's when they bounce you out to us, and you go to a tribunal, which is kind of like a court system for the school system. And they determine if you stay in school or if you expel for the entire year. That's first question. Secondly, what we're learning and seeing more and more when it comes to gang violence, it consists of bullying as well. Because if you have that one kid that can't afford what the rest of the kids is wearing or afford sports, you get that one guy or that one kid that's in the school system that's already in a gang. He solicits to the next kids or that kid and say, hey, if you come hang with me or roll with me, I'll get you those new shoes, or I'll get you that new shirt that came out, or we'll get you signed up for sports. This is whom I call my big brother, so I'll take you to meet my big brother. So it's a form of peer pressure also, and bullying. And a lot of family members, a lot of kids are raised that way. We call it generational gang initiation. Mom and dad and sister, brother, grandma and granddad was raised as a blood, raised as a Crip, so they have no choice to be raised up in gang violence.
You bring out a very valid point. And so what we want to realize too, and we have to understand as parents, and we do know every parent may not be on the same economic status, and you shouldn't feel bad because you're able to purchase something for your children that others can't. But I think where the problem comes in is we have to make sure that when our kids are in this particular environment or in school and we see that these things are being done, we want our children to feel like they can go and talk to somebody, but when they talk to somebody, that something is being done, that something is, that I don't feel like I'm talking to a deaf ear, or feel like that what my issues are not warranted. We want to make sure that these children know that because it's tough. And I want y'all to hear this. It's very tough to go and talk about an issue that's going on with me personally, anybody, and to be able to talk to someone and hopefully that information lands in the right area. But as you said 3 times, one time may be too much. One time may be too many. And we have to understand that bullying has an effect on the ones that are doing the bullying, but the ones that's being bullied as well is a major effect, a trickle-down effect. You all may not remember this, but a very first school shooting that I heard about was Columbine. And it was about these 2 boys who were being bullied to the point that they could not take it any further, and they wanted to seek revenge. These days and time, mental health is a major issue. Children are not as mentally tough as we were when we were growing up. And so we have to look at that because that's a stain that's saying this child probably can't take 3 chances, but that's what the school gives, 3 chances. They probably can only take that one time or that half time. And so we need to make sure that we let these kids know that there are issues and people in place that are willing to do that. That means that if I have to talk to somebody in the church, or if I have to talk to somebody that's on the council board, or somebody that's in law enforcement, I need to know that something is being done, because 3 times may be too late. I mean, I know you get 3 strikes in baseball, but in life, 3 strikes may be too many when it comes to our children's lives. And sometimes that's when the parents get involved because they feel like that there has nothing been done enough to protect their child. And so we want to talk about that. So if anybody has any questions, please don't hesitate to stand, come down and talk about it. But we want to be able to dive into this issue that when we leave you, we'll leave more informed of what we can do when those things happen. Does anybody have any questions?
Good evening once again. One thing that I wanted to bring out is that a lot of times that we forget about our houses of worship, and our children do go through issues in church. And we have different events where kids will come, and whether it's during Sunday school or after school event, and they think it's like subtle teasing, because we are in church and they think that they can get by with it. But we have had to entertain issues where our kids have had problems within church. And so one of the things that I encourage the parents to do is to, first of all, they will come and tell me. And I ask them, you know, have you spoken with the other parent? Have you acknowledged the fact that their child may be saying something out of place to your child? And if they can't handle it in that manner, then my next step is to inform pastor. And then afterwards, then, you know, I, you know, will go by his guidance and whatever instruction he give in order to whether or not we need to meet, you know, with the children or with the parents or whatever he, you know, would like for us to do, depending upon what the manner is, then that's what, you know, we would do. Would you like to add to that?
And this is one thing I do, once it comes to me, this is what I tell everyone, and I share this with everyone here that's on Facebook and everything. I ain't been saved my whole life, and when I was younger, I was guilty of bullying somebody, I was guilty of being bullied, so I had both ways. And what I found out, when it gets to a point where an adult knows, one thing I tell everybody, parents, start having a paper trail. Document issues that are going on. You need to have instances, dates, and things of that nature. Because when you go to court, they're not worried about what you say, but it's what you can prove, what you can document. And that documentation has to take place. And don't allow someone else to document these important issues on your child. And that means when you are ready to go further, and what I tell people all the time, if your child is being constantly bullied day in, day out, when they go to the grocery store, when they're at Walmart or anything like that, or you get calls and nothing like your child is fighting, all those things, you need to have some paperwork together and then move that to the police. Because why? What you're doing now is not that you're trying to get someone arrested, but you're saying there's a threat going on with my child. They need to be aware of that. People need to be aware of that. That's why we have places and things in place. Not only do the police need to be involved, but you also too need to take a letter to the Board of Education as well, send copies and emails to the teacher, to the principal, to the superintendent. That way you are laying your groundwork for your child. That way, when something happens or in the event that something's about to happen, it won't be, well, they said this or they said that. No, you follow your steps and procedures. There are policies and procedures in place for a certain reason. And we cannot skip over those things. We cannot overlook those things. And we can't say, well, you remember, and I hope this is comical to somebody. You remember when I saw you talking to a police that you all do that at Walmart with your children, and I'm seeing you, and I'm coming to get some milk, and you come to get ice cream, and I tell you, hey, they messed with my child. And then when something happened, you remember what I told you? You remember when we was in Walmart? I can't remember when it was or how it was, but do you remember I told you? And we rely on that information versus what? If we had that paper trail, it helps you, it helps your child, and it does not matter what your past record is, their past record is. When you have some documentation showing who, what, when, where, and how, it helps you and your child in a situation. Am I right about it? You can please go a little bit further on that if you can.
You're absolutely right. You gotta have documentation. If it didn't happen, I mean, if you said it happened, but we ain't got no black and white, it didn't happen. If an officer wasn't called and we got a recording, officer responded, officer entered in his computer, it goes straight to the server, a supervisor signed off on it, it's not a report on file. Speaking with me or speaking with another officer or speaking with an officer that's a family member will not help you if the incident occurs. But another thing, as parents, when we call the police, let the police handle it. There's no need to call the police if you're going to handle it yourself. It's just like prayer. If you're going to pray to God and ask him for a miracle, don't go out and try to make the miracle happen yourself. Leave it in God's hands. And that's the problem that a lot of our guys run into is, as soon as we show up, you better do. Or you better go take care of, or you better go talk. So if Lil Johnny see mama carrying on like that toward the police, when Lil Johnny get up in age, it's gonna be hard for Lil Johnny to deal with police because he already seen mama disrespect the police after she called the police. So we have to watch to begin with, like Pastor said, it starts at home. That's why it's a parent conference. We gotta watch how we carry ourselves. Period. If we're on social media posting, twerking, smoking, drinking, why are we gonna get on Lil Johnny when Lil Johnny do it? We gotta lead by example. But if you call us, give us the documentation, or just give us a scenario of what's going on, and let us handle it. Because the way we handle it may not be the way that you guys handle it. So if you call us, get your documentations, leave it in our hands. Now, if you see the problem is not being taken care of by your local agency, then it's steps that you can take. And I think that's one of the great reasons why we have city councils here. If you feel that it's not been taken care of, there's no need to go down and keep the door in and raise cane. Take proper steps. You got your documentation. I talked to officer such and such. This didn't happen within this time limit. Keep your documentation. Just continue to go forward. Just don't let it die down. And then when Johnny get into a fight, come back and say, "Well, I told you so."
And not only do we have the police element of it, but as well, we have our city leaders here as well. Now, I'm not telling you to bother them with every little thing, but when you find out that if you feel that here again is policies and procedures. If you feel like your local law enforcement officers or department has not done the justice that you feel like they've done, and if you call several times and you feel like nothing's been done, then, am I correct about it? You can call your city councilman and let them know, hey, I have an issue. And I encourage everybody in here, every parent, you should go to a council meeting. You should go to any city function that's going on, because that gives you the information what's going on. Because a lot of people say, I don't know what's going on. Well, but they let you know that every other Tuesday that there's a city councilman meeting. They let you know that you can speak. They let you know that there are things in place for you to come down and express your concerns. Am I right, Bob? Can you go ahead and give people the how it works?
Okay, as far as city council meeting, we meet every first and third Tuesday of the month. And if you want to be on the agenda to speak, you have to call the week before to get on the agenda, okay? And then you'll be allowed 5 minutes to say whatever you have to say at our meeting. And the meeting starts at 7 o'clock on the first and third Tuesday.
What's the location of the meeting?
It's at the government complex in the city county meeting room.
So these are things we have in place. And so, Councilwoman Reeves, is there anything you want to add or interject as well?
New books explained as far as the meeting, the date and the time. First and third Tuesday, 7 o'clock, at government complex. And true enough, if there are issues that, discrimination things that are going on in the city, if you have addressed them and you've spoken to other people about it or whatever, but the city council is there. As a city council member, I do try to listen to my constituents. I will go to bat if they are in the right. And if it's something on the city side where we've done something incorrectly, then I'll address that with the city manager. For council members I speak for myself, available to you to listen to whatever your concerns may be, and something that needs to go before the entire mayor and council, then we do that too.
And that's what, and I promise you, I can say this for these two council officials, officers, city officials that they have, and they will do that. And we need to know that you do have a voice. Now, a lot of us, the reason why we don't say anything and we build up, then we react. But if we take the proper steps, and I'm not telling you there's a perfect system out there, so don't quote me on saying that it's perfect. But what can be done is that you do your part. When you do your part, when you got your paperwork, you've gone through the processes, I promise you, something has to happen. Something has to take place. And I don't want a parent to feel that they are paralyzed to the system. Won't nobody hear me? Yes, they will. If you do the proper things, I don't want them to hear you when you go to somebody's house and then tow up somebody else's property and then you get locked up. Sometimes the victim, can I be real? Sometimes the victim get a worse problem and situation than the one that started, than the initiate. And so you want to make sure that if you are a victim, you need to make sure that you are following those procedures. And I know it may feel like it ain't happening fast enough because that's your baby, that's your child. But guess what? Keep calling, keep checking, keep pushing. Because you don't want this to happen. And if you get locked up, guess what? You just destroyed your credibility. You destroyed your child's credibility. And the thing about it is, if you follow these steps, procedures, and guidelines, because they're in place for a reason, if we do those things, then we have a leg to stand on. Amen? And we want to make sure that you all do that. And so you heard from all these individuals, but is there anybody that wants to make a statement or anything? If you want to make a comment, you come here and we can talk about it, address, or anybody has had an issue that they felt that could have been handled a different way. Or anything of that nature. If anybody wants, because I don't want to be the one talking, y'all know I can, but I want people to feel, I want this to be interactive. There's somebody here who want to share something with us today.
Can we talk back here, or do we have to go?
You come in, or
Is this okay?
Yeah.
I think one of the things that I've heard the panel say today is about the children are more sensitive today when it comes to bullying. I would say hand in hand, I feel like it's about the same. Because like you said, I was the fighter, the bully, and the one that was getting bullied as well. That's why my attention is so keen to it, because I know how destructive it can be. Whether it's a teenage or later on in life. So that's kind of why my eyes stay keen to it, whether it's at home or in the streets. Because like anybody will tell you, if it's something I can do for you, I'm there, 100%. If it's something that I might see of you that's doing something they're not supposed to be doing, I'm not always gonna say I'm gonna say it the right way, but I'm gonna draw attention to, hey, you think that's what you're supposed to be doing? Sometimes it don't always come out right, but it's just the initiative to try to see that people that are connected to your kids, you want the same benefit for any other kid that's around your kids, because whether we know it or not, either you want to say a bad spirit, bad behavior, whatever that's already connected to your children, sometimes that's a lot of why your children do what they see, because they want to branch out and try to be like other people. But the main thing is the sensitivity part of it is, back then, you had a beeper that you tried to put codes in when we were growing up. Some didn't have a beeper, you had to sit by a phone. Now you have social media on every area of everything. So where you think you're just saying, I might send a message to my friend, Nakia, we're in a group chat, and I might say, girl, you were ugly today, what you had on. Well, somebody in that group chat might not be feeling a playful way that day, and then they take on that and take it a different way. So our social media is very, very big when it comes down to the bullying situation and I would say the consumption of how the adults are handling it. That's why I appreciate this situation so much, because we have to shed a lot of light on the parents. What are we overlooking? What can we better see where we're going together? Yes, the child may say one thing. I've been that one child. Because Annie was going to come whether we were wrong or right. But one thing about it, she took the time to say, okay, I heard you, have a seat. Let's sit down with the parents. Let's talk it out. Let's see what's really going on. Because even with my children, they telling me something. They telling me certain parts that'll make mama not mad. But they probably ain't telling me everything. So as a whole, as families, as homes, as the children, once you start to find, oh, okay, now I see what's going on. It's starting to unravel a little bit. But if you don't have both parents, somebody from that child's life and somebody from the other, that's when it just doesn't work, because I'm going to believe her or I'm going to believe her. But as a whole, if we start kind of working together, watching these social media pages, because if you can't watch them, you can't have one. You know, if I can't see what's really going on, and once I enter a room and I hear the extra going on, okay, you gotta come out of that social media, put your phone down for a little bit, give them something to think about. But, like I said, I think it starts with the parents first, and so we're kind of noticing, or kind of put us on point that, hey, wait a minute, I was overlooking something. So thank y'all for this.
One of the things too I want to address too is that we got to understand too, when we were growing up, there was a kind of an off switch, telephone or by way of in person. Now, it's social media is 24 hours, and you understand that a child has been in school for 8 hours. They finally get to a home that's maybe some form of solitude, but guess what? The moment they get texts all night, they get threats all night, they get all these things. So it's a constant thing. What is the conclusion of that happens is depression, also suicide, also or revenge. There are so many things that could be done or as a repercussion from this, that we've got to be able to have these conversations with our children and have these real conversations with our children. And we've got to talk to them and let them know that if you see something going on, talk to me about it. And what I mean by that, when I talk about mental health, it is that we're now aware of it now. Back when we were growing up, there was no such thing that we talked about, but we're now aware of it. We're now understanding that there are issues that are going on that what affects you may not affect me. Your mountain may be a molehill, but I got to understand it's still something that's obstructing your vision and your way. And so we have to be open-minded to that. Again, parents, we have to too. We got to take this responsibility to see what's going on with our children. We have to find out what's going on around your child. Ask your child how your day was. I tell people this all the time. Now, y'all call me old-fashioned country when I leave here, but we don't sit at the table anymore. We don't talk to our children anymore. As a matter of fact, we texting our children in the room, what you want to eat, and I go pick it up. They right there in the door. We rather text them and have a conversation with our children. And it's sad that even everybody got their own television in their room, their own fire sticks in their room, their own game. And so it's every home, and I'm not just talking about y'all, but everybody got their own little community in their own home. And so the Bible talks about a divided house won't stand. He ain't talking about just bricks and mortar. But if you got division in the home, then the family structure falls. And so it is our job as parents, as guardians, and it's time for us to be more mature about things. We've got to be mature because it does not make sense. Y'all hear me when I say it. It does not make sense for somebody 30 or 40 years old fighting a teenager. It don't make sense. It don't make sense because guess what? That teenager gonna go to juvie and be out in a day or two, and you're gonna have a criminal record and you lose your job. And we got to start thinking about those things like this and letting our children know there are repercussions, because if you're bullied and keep getting suspended, expelled, it follows you. Guess what? Guess what they're doing? Guess what you're doing? You have a paper trail one way or the other. You have a good paper trail or a bad paper trail. But you're gonna have a paper trail. It's best to have the one that you can dictate and document versus somebody dictate and document on your behalf. Because ain't nobody going to paint your picture like you can paint your picture. And those type of things follow us for a long time. And so we want you all to understand as parents that you have city officials here, you have church folks here, you have law enforcement here, ministers here, church body here, but as well, it comes to the church as well. So I don't want y'all to think that church is so holy that it's a sacred place that folks don't come, and children can get threatened texts, maybe in church, maybe even when they walk out and we see them running around playing, but there may be somebody out there destroying somebody mentally. We've got to do a better job, even here at the church, that we are aware of things going on. We can't say, oh, not my child, oh, not them. No, they wouldn't do that. They wouldn't say that. Yeah, they probably be the main one saying that they're doing it. But we have to be aware that those things are going on, and we have to make sure that we are not just taking things for granted, but we're on the edge of watching out, because the Bible tells us to do what? Watch as well as pray. And if we ain't watching, what you praying? You got to know when you get on leave what you're praying for. You ought to be praying for what you saw and what you experienced. And so those are the type of things we have to do. And I ask us to all reach out to our families and friends and neighbors, so we can make sure that we are going in the right direction. And that bullying, let me tell you this, and I'll yield it over to Jen. But we also understand bullying starts from K to you leaving. Kindergarten, I ain't say 12th grade, there's people bullied in college, there's people bullied in the military, there's people bullied on their jobs, there's people bullied in the NFL, the NBA, there's people bullied everywhere you go. So bullying is very, very real. But we have to make sure that the person who is being bullied, that you have a voice. And my granddad used to teach me this: use what you got. I may not have what you have, I may not know as many people as you know, but one thing that we have in common is we got a voice. And it's time for us to use that voice. And children, do not cry in silence. Cry out loud so we can hear you and know how to help you. So Jen?
One more thing that I wanted to add is that we've spoken a lot about social media, but we also have to tap into video games as well, because a lot of times kids feel that life is a reset button, that the things that happen, that you play this game and then all of a sudden I can hit a reset button and I can start this life over again. Well, you got one life to live. It doesn't work that way. And you have to understand that there are consequences to your actions, the things that you go out there and that you choose to do, that there are repercussions behind your actions. And, Pastor said it best, is that, we have to realize that a lot of times we are the only thing that our children see. And so it has to start, and we use this scripture all the time, that train up a child in the way that he should go, and when he grows older, he will not depart from that. Well, that training starts literally in the household. Racism does not start from the womb. Bullying does not start from the womb. A lot of times what you see and hear in the household, the first time a white person may hear the N word may be in the household. And so they trickle that into their livelihood, because they don't know the difference between black and white. I see kids from the womb, literally. So I guess I've seen them even before the seed starts. And so I'm here to tell you that they don't know. They come here innocent beings. And so everything that we pour into them, that's what they're going to pour out to us.
Okay, Sister Jen had a valid point, especially with parents in the house. That if you're a parent in your house and all you do is fuss and cuss and hit your child, that's a learned behavior. That child then will take it out on other children, because it was okay for mama or daddy to do that to me, so I'll take it out on other people. And then on the other hand, you have the same thing, cussing, fussing, hitting, whatever. That child is more timid. And see, when you're timid, that child that will feel like they can hit you and cuss you out and do whatever, because they are this way, they will be attracted to treat you like that because you're timid. So you have the bully, the buller, and then you have the bully. So we have to be careful as parents, because at home we're a totally different person than we're in church or anywhere else. So we get high when we come in here and act like we got our stuff together. We don't cuss, we don't fuss, we don't do anything. But it's a learned behavior. So we have to be careful, because we put our stuff on our children and not even knowing it sometimes. So we have to be careful in how we're treating our kids, and listen to your children. We have this thing where we say, well, man up, or girl up. Sometimes they can't do that because they've been broken, and so if they're telling you there's something wrong, there's something wrong. Pastor mentioned, cry out loud. Let somebody know that even the strongest person can be bullied. The strongest person can feel like can be totally broken down. So parents, listen to your children, have an ear to hear, and make sure you're not bullying them at home, or you don't allow them to bully you.
I want to tag off of that too, because one thing that I found is that a lot of kids feel like they have to live up to a certain standard when it comes to their parents. Like, I know with my daughter and myself, she felt like since I went to college, I graduated, there was something that she felt like she needed to do. When I already knew that her passion was doing hair. She was trying to do things to satisfy me. So, she went off to college and that first year was a total bomb. But, we have to get to know our kids. Like she said, we got to listen to them. We got to hear what they are telling us. Everybody's not cut out for school. Everybody's not cut out for military. We have got to really start to listen and learn our children because at a certain point, they become their own individuals. And we have to, really and truly respect them for that and hear them and then begin to nurture that passion because God poured gifts into each and every one of us. And so we have to allow that to manifest in that particular child and not hold them accountable for what I wanted to do. Okay, I wanted to be a doctor, so I want my child to be a doctor. I didn't make it as a nurse, so my child got to be a nurse. No, you don't hold that child to that standard. You got to see what it is special that God has placed for them, So those are some of the things that we want to try and do. And I tell my parents all the time because they'll come and tell me, my child is not going to do that. They're not going to walk down. They're not going to say a speech. Give me a moment with them. And I feel like that's a gift that God gave me because I take the time to listen and I can see certain talent within children and I try and bring that out of them. And it has been a success. And we've seen it with the many things that we've done here at Stonewall that Pastor has allowed us to do. And so just give us the opportunity. And we're in this together. It takes a village to raise kids. You got your church, you got your school officials, you got your community leaders. We in this together. Let's lock up and let's help to raise these kids.
And this is what I want to say too, because we're going to close down. I'm going to give everybody a chance to say something in closing. What I tell my children, what I learned over 50 years now, is that being grown is not a number. But being grown is being mature enough to know I can't handle this by myself. Knowing when to ask for help, knowing when to look for something that's much bigger than me. And when we understand that, we have to teach our children as well that it's okay to look for help and let them understand what help looks like, because help don't ask for something in return. I hope y'all hear that. I hope y'all heard that. Help don't ask for anything in return. Help is helping you. And so we have to be mature enough as parents to say, if I can't reach my child or I'm not well-rounded in this area, it's okay to talk to somebody you trust. It's okay because you can't do it. And again, that goes back to the village because guess what? Our parents, if you think about it, no matter how old we are, our parents didn't do it by themselves. It was Miss Johnson down the street, Mr. Jackson on the corner, the church, come and get them cookies and punch for Vacation Bible School, going to Sunday school. All those things played to the person who we are right now. But we've got to a point where it's comfortable for our children to be in isolation. And the Bible tells you that God didn't even want us to be alone because he understood that being alone is not a good place to be. So it's good in time for us to reach out and get that help that we need. And this is going to be the first of many things that we do for parents because we want you all to feel comfortable and feel proud. No matter what your child has done in the past, we ain't here to point out their past, but we here to lift their future and their present. And so we want to be able to do those things. And so I want to yield the mic over to our councilman and also to the law enforcement as well, and also to our former judge if she has anything she wants to say as well. But we want to, just let you all know that we are here, and I will hope the next one we do, bring somebody with y'all, tag somebody tonight, let them know. But we're going to keep doing this because I want our children to be able to go to a football game and be okay. I want our children to go to a basketball game and not worry, and we want to be able to drop our children off and know that I'm going to pick my child the way I drop them off. And we want to be able to go to restaurants and all these places and be okay. And so we want to be able to do that. And so how we can do it It starts with things like this: talking, conversating, understanding, talking about what issues that we have. And we gotta get mad all the time. But sometimes it's good to have a conversation. And we can agree to disagree. We don't agree on everything. But what we can do is that we start it and we have a conversation. So again, I want to thank everybody for coming out, but I want to yield it over to our city councilman for him to have any closing remarks and whatever he may want to say, as well as also to Officer Meadows as well, and Sister Jen as well, and also to Judge Cardi, if you have anything that you would like to say as well, we will end it with that. Or if any parent has anything to say before we start, any parent, anybody else want to have anything to say today? Anything? Yes, ma'am.
I want to say, the documentation, just work on that. That's what I do. Every day my son is back to school. I ask him, how was your day? What happened? What the teacher said, what did you learn? And if something happened, I document the time. Everything. I go to the school and I talk to the teacher and I talk to the principal. I document the time I talk to and who I talk to, so that I can have it. Because we have that. There's only a problem, it's only teamwork. So I had to go to the school and talk to this teacher. So I spoke with the teacher, she got with the parent, and actually they took the kid out of classroom. And I told my son, I said, my son was kind of said, well, Mom, you know, it's okay. I told Mom, it's not okay. No, it's not okay. He has to have heard it at home in order for him to bring it to school. So I'm not gonna just let it go. And I did. So documentation is everything. I know the nurses, documentation is everything. And get in tune with your kids and who they hang around as well. Because I always wanna know who their parents are. You know, I wanna know what my son, he may not tell me everything, but he's very close with his sister. So I know he will tell his sister. So I'm thankful for this meeting and, hopefully we have another one.
Anybody, any other comments? Yes, ma'am.
Can I piggyback off what Shonda said?
Mhm.
I'm glad she brought that up because at the end of the school year, that just passed, me and another mother, we talked about some issues that was going on, not even with the student. This was a teacher that has done this for a number of years. And it had just got bigger because it involved the child's grades and how that reflected that one child. But then we found out that there were so many more other children that felt some type of way about, your hair is too big, I can't hear you. Just different little remarks that reflected the brown skin. And the teacher felt like, oh, I've been doing that forever. I didn't realize that was wrong. So once there was a conversation that was started, the administration already knew that the teacher was saying these things. Well, the children never really complained. So once it was brought to light, it was handled in a way that I felt if we had already put it on the table, they wouldn't have let it go on for, I know, at least 4 years before that. So at the end of the day, the teacher still sat at the table and said, I still don't see what I'm doing wrong. So once they kind of gave her a cultural education, it kind of made sense to her. So we did talk back and forth about cultural awareness at the school, which we thought they were already getting it. But at that point, we're not looking for the teacher to always get rolled up. We want them to understand what they're doing prior to this. And like you said, that reflects what the child saw in the classroom. And another child piggybacked off what she was doing and talked about it 2 years later because they got to high school and they said something out of line and then they got in real big trouble because it was bullying or whatever. But he got it from the same teacher that we just had this issue with at the end of the school year. So it kind of trickles over and it keeps going and keeps going. So that's why parents like Shonda like, hey, go say something, go see it, go, like you said, document it. So that's what we just have to continue to do. Right.
Go to the school. So I mean, they hear me, they bully me, I don't need it, because they know me. but I'm going to that school, I'm going, I'm coming. Boy, he's doing good, he doing fine, he doing good, I'm okay, I'm still fine.
Yes, ma'am.
And kind of ask what, Morrison was saying, so even in that particular, the students were used to being called thugs and but the teachers were used to saying it because nobody else was complain, because the kids thought they was okay. For them to be called, they go to thugs, but it was referred to as the black students in the room were referred to as so it is important to call your kids and not let these issues or situations make it wrong and just do everything good until like later.
Teachers can be good, and it's not, well, I think they know it. But one thing about that situation, that I can pick back off with her, as a whole, parents stood together. Parents stood together and figured out, hey, what was wrong? And no matter what the outside had going on as a whole, you stand up together and try to figure out what is best for these children. Because it's already a fight for us to get the education that we need. But as a whole, as parents, that we can fight together to get that right, I think we can fight together to manage what we got going on too.
Any other parents, anybody else, anyone else want to say anything tonight? All right. Councilman Reed, do you like to say anything as well? Would you like to say anything in closing?
I would like to say thank you all for having this meeting. Hopefully, you said this is the first one, and hopefully add others. Some of the other folks that were invited will attend, the next time. But I think it's a good thing. But children are bullied in school. So I think it's a good thing. And I thank you for the invitation.
First of all, I want to thank you, Pastor Dillon, for having me here. Thank you for the invitation, Stonewell. I do want y'all to know that we are leaders in this community, and that's what we're here for. Give us a call. My number is public knowledge. I don't mind sharing my number with you. If you want my number, you can call the city of Thomaston. They'll give you my number, or the Civic Center. But this was an encouraging meeting. I learned a lot, from listening to some of the things that was said today. But if anything that I can do in this community to help, I'm just a phone call away. Once again, thank y'all for having me.
Piggyback off of what Councilman Miller said, thank you, Pastor Dumas, Sister Jean, for having me. In closing, I just want to share with your parents to continue to monitor your kids at all times, not just when they're in school, when they're at home. There's apps that you can download that every time they send a text, it comes to your phone. You can do one of them is Life 360, but you can also do the I think it's the Apple Share family plan, that every time they send a text, it comes to your phone. And once we get done, I'll look at my phone and get y'all some more information on different apps. If you like Rick and Smiley, they don't want his episode. If you got to take the door off to the bedroom, take it off. Kids don't have privacy to what we pay bills for. Well, I'm afraid of what I'm going to see. Well, take the phone away from them. If you feel they're getting down like that, just take the phone away from them, because what I'm leading up to is cyberbullying. And we work a lot of those cases in the morning, to the point that children is ready to commit suicide because of what's being sent out in a group message. And if we come to your child and your child has it in their phone, cyberbullying is against the law. And they can go to jail, no questions asked. But if they know mama go check their phone, or they know mommy and daddy get a text message every time I send something out, they don't stop doing it. TikTok, Instagram, they tell you on these apps, like I think it's TikTok, for an example. Whatever you put on TikTok is going in 24 hours. Yeah, it's going for y'all, but it ain't going for us. We can get it from the time you created your account until you shut your account down. So same as Instagram, same as Facebook. So just be mindful. monitor them at the house, monitor who they're talking to and playing games with online, because you think they're playing with the person across the street, and they may think they're playing with the person across the street, but they can be playing with a pedophile or somebody seeking to take advantage of them. You can make those game systems, you can activate the voices to dumb the voice down to minor real, and they think they're playing with one of their friends or their homeboys, and they're not. Be mindful. Check them. Check them. Don't let them know when you come. They're our babies. We're parents. We're not their friends. I love my kids to death. We've got a great relationship. And I ain't your friend. I'm your dad. Thank you.
Also, I would like to send a special thank you to each and every one who came out, the invited panelists, as well as the parents and the children. A special thank you to Ms. Janice Hickman, who is the secretary of the superintendent. She got the information out, and Ms. Oasis Nichols at the city of Thomaston. They were very helpful. And a special thank you to Pastor Dumas for just allowing me to do my job and having the faith to know that the kids' best interests are in my heart. I'm also going to institute one thing here at the church. I ordered something, I wasn't expecting for it to be this big, but it's a church. And I know you've seen like the little tithing churches that they have at the Baptist churches, but I'm gonna have like index cards. I'm gonna put it down in the dining hall. And if you're having a problem or issue, or you want special prayer, this is for the parents as well as the children. And it has a lock to it, and only I will be able to go in and pull the cards out. But you can go downstairs. I'll have it set up before August comes in and out. So just give me a few minutes. But it'll be set off to the side, and like I said, you can write, if you're having problems or if you need prayer, and just stick it down in that slot. And when I come on Sundays, I'll pull it out and check it and see if we got anything. If I need to, give it directly to Pastor Dumas, I would do that. But it's just something that God laid on my heart, so that you won't feel like, a lot of times you don't feel comfortable coming and saying something to us. But if you can write it down and just stick it on a slide, put your name on it, and so that we know. Or, if you don't want to put your name on it, you just want a something special prayer. Maybe it's an issue that we can address generally, and, you can hear it, and so that we will know what's going on. But we're here for you. We love you. And, that's what God is. God is love. And that's what we want to institute into our mindsets. And we started this campaign a few years ago called Bully, but our bully means bringing up, leading, loving youth. So that's what we want our bully to stand for. Thank you.
Thank you to Sister Jen and Pastor Dumas for this opportunity. I think I said this morning, when we have resources, they have given us resources. So use the resources. It's okay to be not okay. If our family, if our children, if we're in the midst of something and they're not okay, it's okay to tell somebody, you know what? I'm not okay. This is going on. It should be a lot more parents here tonight, because I think this is something that's needed. It's just not in Epsom County, it's in Lamar County, it's in Pike County, it's all over the world. So we know there is a problem, and I would like, if, I don't know what the high school has, if they have a task force, if the school system have a task force, but I would like if we could collaborate with them or partner with them to have a task force for bullying if they don't have one. I know they have stuff in place, but I don't know if they have a task force, so that would be something good. So like I said, tonight was a good night. I learned a lot, and my kids are out of school, but like Pastor said, they can still be bullied. I don't care how old you are. Because people, they don't like you, they bully you. If they're jealous of you, they bully you. So those things still happen. But we learn to react, know how to react to those situations, especially parents, because I know some of us will kill a rock about our children, but we know how we document and know how to treat people. Amen?
I want to say this too, and we're gonna pray, and I think we do have some refreshments, Jen. We do have some refreshments here. I hope you all grab some. It's usually very delicious every time that they do it, so I'm excited about that as well. But the Holy Spirit lays on my heart while I heard everybody talking. And everything we talked about was things outside the home. But there are some threats inside the home as well. And we have to understand too, and some of the biggest troubles I got into, I was with my cousin them. I want y'all to hear me when I say this. It was my mama's sister or brother or my dad's sister, brother, children who I got in trouble with. And sometimes we let our guard down when our children go off with their kinfolk. But sometimes our kin get us in a lot of sin. And so we have to be just as aware of the ones who we allow to come into our homes versus everybody else as well. So that means we as parents have to keep our guards up even with our own blood. Y'all hear me? And so you have to be very careful because sometimes our kinfolks can get in our ears, and it's okay because they can. But guess what? If it ain't what mom and dad teaching, it still is not right. And we as parents have to let our brothers and sisters know that when their children come over here, this is what I'm gonna have in my house. This is what I expect. This is what I expect when y'all go off somewhere. You have to get up a list or things what you stand for. Because sometimes we just, that's just such and such daughter or such and such son, that's my dad. No, you got to check them too. Because we don't know who they connected to as well. So don't let your guard down for anything. When Jesus got persecuted, he didn't get persecuted by a stranger. It was one of his spiritual brothers that kissed him on the cheek. So let you know that guess what? Everybody don't have the same model, the same message, and the same Lord that you have. And we have to be very, very careful of even our kin folks and skin folks. Y'all hope y'all got that? Because we can talk about somebody saying the N-word, but we can talk about the one that really treat us like the N-word, they look like us as well. And so I want us to be very clear, and I'm very passionate about this, that you have to look out for your child. And if mom and dad, if you thinking clubbing and hanging out and all this stuff, sometimes being a parent means sacrifice. That means I can't do this. And so guess what? It's okay. It's all right. Hang out when they do. Trust me, when they get grown, ain't no party like grown party. The children don't take care of themselves. I'm telling y'all hear me? So, but the key thing is, please, ma'am, please, sir, please, community, be aware of everyone that comes in contact with our children. Amen. All right. Can we put our hands together for our guests tonight? Thank you all so much. Thank you all so much. As well, again, I said as well, Dr. Derrico personally texted me as well, and I want to thank him for even acknowledging that he would come if he did not have a schedule, because he realizes that it is a very important issue as well. So I really appreciate him reaching out and sending a text back, thanking him for just even reaching out, acknowledging that we did have something like this. He agreed that something like this really do need to take place in our community. So I thank him as well. So let us pray. Most gracious and awesome God, we thank you for this day. We thank you for how you blessed us. We thank you for this panel. We thank you for our community leaders looking beyond their busy schedule to come and see and hear the concerns of their constituents and their community and in their districts. But not only that, God, we have our children who are going back to school. And God, we speak that they shall have a successful year. We speak that, oh God, that although the numbers for bullying is up, we are speaking now that there shall be a decline. But God, we speak that there shall be an incline in communication with parents and their children. Shall be an incline with us listening to our children, an incline of us putting and pointing people in the right direction and places. And also shall be an incline in perfect documentation, writing things down, keep creating that paper trail as well. And God, we just ask you to continue to bless our children from the first day to the last day. And we speak right now that we plead the blood of Jesus around every school, pre-K, daycares, elementary school, middle school, high school, colleges, wherever our children may be, whether they're on the job, wherever they are in their own business, put a hedge of protection around them, God, because the enemy is trying to snuff this generation out. And so we speak long life, And we speak right now these things. In Jesus' name, we can pray in every heart, every mind, and every mouth, say amen.
Amen.
God bless the refreshments that we will have on tonight. Let it be used for the nourishment of our bodies, for the uplifting of your kingdom. In Jesus' name, we do pray. Amen. Thank y'all so much for coming. Thank y'all so much for joining us on Facebook as well. And thank again our leaders for coming to support us as well. Amen.